This is going to be a quick video about work file update 1.2 for procedural building for modules tutorial. This update is free for anyone who bought this tutorial already and brings updated versions of HDAs and heap file. For the last couple of months, I have been separating HDAs from my previous tutorials to make them available as their own standalone download. And it is only fair that I go back to the original HDAs and update them with the standalone download versions of those HDAs. So that means that they are going to be just overall more polished and more structured. Basically, all of them are now going to be under the my own namespace in the tab menu. They all are going to include the help file, and the help file all of them are going to bring you in the help file. There's going to be a link to the YouTube video for that node that I have made on my YouTube channel. That means that you have a basically full guide for that node on how to use it. And also one benefit is that they are also now the commercial versions of those HDAs. So that means it can be used for the commercial version of the Houdini. So this is very cool update for those HDAs, and those HDAs are, let me go through all of them. So the 4 HDAs, so you have import geometry and save Unreal geometry. So basically two nodes that control the basically saving and importing geometry inside the Unreal Engine so that you can save geometry and also save and import geometry inside Unreal Engine. The geometry nudger node, which basically is quickly modifying the geometry that I also used in the tutorial. And also the geometry compositor node that you can composite your modules inside to make your basically combine multiple geometry files to combine your modules. And in this example, I'm just using two, but just to showcase basically each building module has been composed of two geometry pieces that I am using now with the updated geometry compositor node, which brings a bunch of new features that are actually really cool. And this is a kind of a big upgrade from the previous downloads that I have included with this work file. So if you want to know all the new features of this node, which is a big update for this compositor node, just go ahead and go to the help file and watch the update, basically the video on the updates on it. And I am also including the file scrubber node 1.1 for Houdini. So this is the older version of the new 2.0 node, file scrubber 2.0, which includes a bunch of new awesome features, but I'm not packaging it with this download. So you're going to get the older 1.1 version, which basically is the same features that went with the original work file download. And if you want to get the version 2.0, I mean, there's a bunch of awesome stuff, which I'm not going to talk about right now, obviously, but I mean, 2.0 is a really awesome node. It's basically a replacement for the file node inside Houdini. What I wanted to talk about now is the changes of the heap file itself. So the heap file from the previous, so I kind of had to refamiliarize myself with the heap file, how it was structured. And it took a little while, but basically the heap file was set up as of the geometry, as the geometry has been imported. Basically, is as if the geometry that I want to set up was imported from the Unreal Engine. But I decided to maybe set it up a little bit differently, which basically how to set it up if my geometry comes from Houdini, and how to set these Unreal attributes inside Houdini and then basically import the geometry using the save Unreal, basically import geometry inside Unreal Engine and then instantiate it. And thankfully it was really simple and required very minimal way of basically changes for the network. So just to showcase how it was made, how I went ahead and changed it, basically I created these simple modules, how the setup of the heap file is now is basically the same. We have a source. We are basically creating the source for these all the geometry modules, and the only thing that I have changed here is how we save the modules. So now we are basically just going looping through all the geometry pieces that have a unique name and then saving them inside the folder. So this gives us an opportunity to not to put down a save node for each one of these modules at the end of the network for that individual piece. It's just a smarter way to work by looping through all the pieces and then saving them. And the new feature before the saving is that I'm going ahead and setting up all the Unreal attributes that I want before and basically to make it ready to be imported inside Unreal Engine. And the only attribute that we have to set is 4 attributes. We have to put down our Unreal Bake folder, basically where the geometry is going to be baked. The output name, in this case I'm saying, let me open up this here. The changes are very simple. So Unreal Bake folder, which is basically where the geometry is going to be baked, when used with the Unreal import geometry inside Unreal HDA, which I talk about in the tutorial, and basically where the geometry is going to be saved, the output name, the name of the static mesh, and you can see I'm using a prefix SM, which is basically standard for the inside Unreal projects to use a static mesh prefix. And then I already setting up the Unreal instance attribute for this geometry, which is again bake folder plus the Unreal output name 2 times. And that's basically it. And this attribute is going to be used on our points. And also the Unreal material. And you can see that in this case I'm setting these 3 attributes on the points, and the material has to be on the primitives. So that's kind of a difference between these attributes. That's basically it. Only thing that we have to do to import the geometry inside the Unreal Engine like this. And you can see my bake folder, the baking of the geometry was done. The geometry was saved inside here. You can see it's in the game that update test. Our geometry has been already imported, which is exactly what I needed, and also it has picked up the material that I'm referencing with the Unreal material attribute. And now we have to set up our modules. And again, modules are basically the same thing, except for it's using the compositor node 2.0 and 1.2, which is a lot, which basically includes a bunch of new hotkeys for you to combine your geometry. It's very simple, just the 2 geometry pieces, but to showcase how to combine different modules, the geometry compositor node is required. And I basically just set up our modules, which I talk about from the tutorial. That's basically everything is the same. And for the actual module building, combining of the building, the only real change has been in the way that we pick up Unreal Instance attribute for these for the modules for the point cloud that needs to be transferred to the Unreal Engine. And the way that we pick up our Unreal Instance attribute, since our modules we have saved our modules on disk, and our geometry compositor node picks this geometry from disk, we know that this geometry already holds the Unreal Instance attribute on it. So that means we can basically again get all of our modules, and we get like all this point cloud that holds the module name. And what we can do is just go ahead and say, okay, copy. And to get the Unreal Instance attribute, we just go ahead and extract the point. And we basically just go ahead and say, okay, extract, basically unpack the geometry piece and pick up Unreal Instance attribute and set it on the point. And that's it. Basically, that's how we get it. So in the previous work file, we picked up the Unreal Input Mesh Name attribute. So this attribute is the attribute that comes from the geometry that has been saved from the Unreal that comes from the Unreal Engine. Basically exports the geometry from Unreal Engine. In this case, we do not work with the Unreal Engine geometry. We have set up our own geometry, and we have already set up our Unreal Instance attribute on it. So that's why we are not picking up this attribute, but we are particularly picking up attribute that we have already set up on this geometry. Now, obviously, it all depends on your modules and how you want, so I didn't want to delete the geometry, these 2 lines of code, because if you are using the geometry from the Unreal Engine save geometry, you can just go ahead and change the way that you pick up your Unreal Instance attribute. And the same thing here. Again, I have grayed out this, and I'm just straight up taking the Unreal Instance attribute value from all the module pieces here. But basically, that's it. The geometry works just as well inside the Unreal Engine, inside Houdini, as basically as a copy geometry, or a point cloud that has been saved on disk and loaded up inside Unreal Engine. So the kind of a update has really gone pretty smoothly without any issues. I just went ahead and updated all the HDs. It's kind of a thing that I wanted to do for a while, and just thought I might as well do it right now. So, okay, but that's basically it for the version 1.2. The geometry all has been set up pretty nicely, and I hope you enjoy your new HDs, and see you in next time.